Hey, what's up, teacher? My team and I will talk about this particular topic of slavery in a general term, but we will answer the following question: what is slavery for us? Let's begin. Well, slavery for me is a very complex topic. When I think about slavery, a bunch of images and situations came into my mind, and I said, "Well, that's a particular topic because of the situations we seen in the class and all of the things." And I will not discuss that in this video because we already seen that. The point that I will emphasize here is that in the modern ways, slavery exists, and let's see why. Slavery began when someone thought, "Oh, I can buy people. Oh, I can sell people," and that's the point of agree, we have a deal, perfect, and they proceed. And as we seen in the classes, that was slavery, and we fight and we make laws and we make rules to avoid that, and nowadays we defend that, and we do not have slavery in I must say in all the world, but the point and the fact is that we still have slavery. If you see around and look, the person that is over there and the person that is over there, and maybe you are your cell phone, and you cannot live without your cell phone. You being depending on your cell phone, and that's a way of slavery. And with that, everything, with food, with exercise, with this new gamma of computers, of cars, and we're being slavery of all of the things that enterprises are making, and we are like a little bunch of robots. Like the enterprise says, "Hey, I got this new product, go buy it and make yourself good," and we are like, "Oh yeah, new product, excellent, we are new robots, we can have new product." And is that a good life? Is that the life we want? And this is the question that I will make to you. Are you a slave of your own maybe vicious, maybe these things that make you feel better, but in a long time it will be nothing? So I will conclude this video with the point that in fact we are a slave nowadays of many different things, and that's slavery for me nowadays. We do not have to eradicate that because enterprises are making us a slave of themselves, and the worst thing of that is that we are not fighting them, we are not doing anything, we are just accepting and following them, and do whatever they want. So we have to change that, we have to fight against them, and we have to be in the mood of, okay, I will not be a slave of that. So that will be all for me, teacher. We have a lot to think, and I hope we can fight against these enterprises and not being a slave of them.
Well, slavery for me is basically when a person takes advantage of the needs from another person, taking away his freedom with violence and exploit him to achieve his own benefits. So, in my case, I want to compare the ancient slavery with the terrible labor conditions that we have in Mexico. So, to start, I want to highlight some scenes from the movie that we saw, 2 Years a Slave, in which the slaves, in some way, accept that they deserve to be slaves. They said that the fact that they were born in certain country, have certain color, made them automatically slaves. So, if we compare the ancient slavery with the current labor conditions, we can see that there is not such a big difference, starting with the low salary. It is known that in Mexico, the salary is too low compared to hard work and the hours that the workers spend in that work. Moreover, their masters think that the fact that they are paying for his workers, they own their workers. At least it seemed to be like that. Masters treat their workers as machines or merchandise, forgetting that their workers are also human beings and deserve to be treated as human beings. But the worrying thing about this is, as I mentioned in that movie, the workers accept these terrible labor conditions. And it could be for many reasons. One of them is the need. The most of the cases come from people who don't have academic preparation and they could only get this kind of jobs. In other words, in other words, they don't have any option. So the second one, and is related to the first, they feel that they deserve it. It is common to hear phrases like, esta es la vida que nos tocó. So, in certain way, they are accepting any kind of job for almost null salary and accept the treats that the masters have to them for nothing. And because, as I said, they have no option. So I wonder, what is the difference between ancient slavery and current labor conditions? In my opinion, I think that slavery is not abolished
Slavery
yet.
is one of the most important issues that we have discussed in class because even nowadays, when we have been celebrating the International Day of the Abolition of the Slavery, for many years, I think we have similar cases in which people try to take advantage from the more needed or the different color or race people. And I would like to talk about the two movies that we saw in the class. The first one was 12 Years a Slave, in which we can saw the whole process since the moment that the slaves were sold and how they were separated from their families and how they were beaten if they didn't achieve the goals. And this was terrible. I think they didn't um, enjoy a decent life. And the main problem for me, in my point of view, I think it was that everything was unfair. The slaves worked a lot and they didn't receive any benefit for that. And that at that moment, the bosses were the ones that they didn't work or anything, but they received all the benefits. Um, I want to link this part of the unfair thing with the Candice movie because it was not the problem as slavery as well, but it was more like racism and discrimination. But I think these are linked because it was a more actual time in which slavery was ended, but Gandhi always was looking for or fighting for the equality. He didn't want to make violence because he think that nobody have to be superior than others. I think this was the thing that we really need to avoid all the slavery, that we have to be all equal people. And I think that nowadays, even nowadays, we have the same problem of discrimination and racism, because in countries like South Africa, white people feel superior, and the black people doesn't have the right to a good school, or doesn't have the same opportunities that white people. And in class, we mentioned that slaves also has like benefits, for example the food, the house, or the clothes, but I think that costs at a really high cost, in which they were humiliated and mistreated. And nowadays, also in our country, I think we have similar cases in which the maid lives in the house of the boss, and these bosses paid a minimal salary, and they compense that with the house and the food. But I think they are not thinking that these maids are also separated from their families, and they doesn't have the life they deserve. I hope more people will take the time to analyze Gandhi's life, and if we all saw this movie and we are capable to see what he was fighting for, we can surely become a better world.